Hey everyone, welcome to today's edition of One Single Story, where each weekday we offer a brief lesson from a section of today's reading in the One Year Bible. My name's Stephen Mizell. J. Rivenbark and I are joined this week by Sheryl Daughety, and we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 25 through 40. We're going to talk about being married again, who you need to marry, the challenges that it presents spiritually, the need for contentment, and why a shared spiritual baseline is so important when you start. So I hope you grab your Bible and a pen and paper, and let's have a conversation around the Word of God today. Hey everyone, it's August 12th, and we're in 1 Corinthians today, chapter 7, verses 25 through 40. And Paul is he has addressed the unmarried, the betrothed, the widows within the early church's reality. And he uses references like present crisis and distress. I don't know if it was social instability or Roman persecution maybe that they're worried about, but was there something I didn't ask a question about that you wanted to make sure we expounded on today?
For me, it was that very issue you're talking about. And he says, because of the present crisis, I think it's best you remain as you are. And for whatever reason, that just kept running over and over again, that it's not that it will always be this way, but based on the current circumstances, this may be the best solution, the best answer may be to stay put, to deal with whatever context it is, although it may change. And that concept, I don't know, for whatever reason, has really been stirring around in my head that sometimes the present circumstance / crisis is the catalyst for things staying in place to a degree until things can get better and change. And I think sometimes we see that and sometimes we don't understand that, and we can get super frustrated with what we desire to see change, but put it in the context that right now this is necessary.
Do you mean when you're in the middle of a situation that you want to be out of?
Mm-hmm. That you long for a different desire, whatever it may be, in any context, but the crisis may necessitate that things stay as they currently are until. And that can be super frustrating.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you don't see the fruits of it. Yes. You're in the middle of it.
Paul notes that married people naturally worry about pleasing their spouse. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. While single people can focus purely on pleasing the Lord. How does this practical reality shape the way we map out our daily allocations of time and energy?
In my mind, because if you are married, and especially if you have kids, your time is naturally going to be divided in a day. And then you throw in a job, which most people are working full-time jobs, and all the other things that you have to manage and navigate time for in your life. And in my mind, it can create even more of an obstacle for you to have the relationship with Christ that you need or want to have, because you have to be very, very determined and be able to make good use of your time and have the right priorities in order for that relationship with Him to be what it should be, in the middle of you trying to make sure everything else, all of your other responsibilities, get covered too.
Yeah, you have to become more intentional, the more, and I'm going to frame it in the verbiage of the more blessings you experience, spouse, children, work, business, ministry, the more layers of blessings that you experience, the more intentional you have to be about mapping out the allocation of time, because it's so easy to get those out of balance. And when you do, one or more of those areas will suffer because of it.
Yeah, so marriage puts a necessary structure of anxiety on a person's life. I don't mean a bad anxiety. The word here talks about that, but you have to care for the people who are around you.
Mhm.
There's no option.
Yeah.
And even sometimes the other things that you do, let's leave out the reason why you have a job often is to provide for those people,
Mhm.
right? Not just for yourself, because if it's just you could probably live off less, live in a smaller house, do less things, right? All
yeah.
huh?
Oh, yeah.
All of the things, right? And so all of those things are connected together. And I don't think Paul is anti-marriage. He is pro-focus. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And the more things you add to your life, the more requirement it is for you to be
Absolutely.
intentional about the focus.
And the more divided your attention.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And so you have to be aware of how is this affecting my life in general? What can I do? And the three of us are fortunate to be in ministry, which is a never-ending job. And we're fortunate to have spouses that don't view that as a hindrance.
Mhm.
But we have all seen people pass through here where one of them had a calling, but the other one was like, oh, no, I ain't for this,
Mhm.
and it put a burden because they were like, I don't, you need to come help me do this. You need to be here, you need whatever the case may be. And it puts another strain on what is already a heavy burden. I don't know what I would do if I had a spouse who was anti-ministry.
It would make it extremely
I
difficult.
don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
You have to allocate your hours well. And I think the only way for marriage to be efficient in the kingdom is if you're both pulling the wagon in the same direction. And if you're not, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Big trouble.
Verse 31, Paul says, those who use the things of the world should not become attached to them, for this world as we know it will soon pass away. How do we enjoy the blessings of life without letting them become internal anchors that hold us back?
To me, it goes back to him talking about soon it will pass away. I think we can be thankful for the gifts that we get to enjoy without holding on to them too tightly. I think that we can consider them a blessing and enjoy that blessing without those things being the source of our happiness. I think that's when, when you're holding on to something too tightly like that is when it does become a hindrance and much less of a blessing in your life. And I also think ultimately that anything that's holding you back from what God calls you to do, no matter how great that thing might seem, it's just going to cause you sorrow in the end.
Yeah, his own terminology kind of answers the question. Use the things of the world, but not come attached to them. And I try to think in some practical ways. Things like technology, money, relationships can be leveraged for good, but those things can so easily become attached to us too, become hindrances and distractions, things that are meant to be a blessing, and I think it serves as a warning.
Yeah, they become our identity,
Oh, yeah.
our security. We become, I am what's the word I'm looking for? The achiever in me wants things, but I'm not overly attached to them. Like I remember being I was in Chicken Kitchen actually, so that's how long ago it was, and there was an old man who I'd known for quite a while. But we were talking at his table one day and he got to talking about divorce. And he said, you wouldn't want to get divorced again because you wouldn't want to lose half of all you got. And I said to him, and I believe this to be true. And I believe this is how I think I would approach. You could take everything I got and you could go today and ask, was I more than fair the first time I was? You could take it all. I wouldn't think twice about it. The loss was the relationships. We talked yesterday about, everything in the church is built around marriage. It's almost everything you do is couple related. Like I don't, and now everybody's different, and some of it is just the relationship, even that Barbara and I have. I don't have buddies. I don't go on boys' trips. Like and it's just not even how I think. If I got,
It's probably for the best.
what that I don't have go
But
on
you're not
boys'
going on
trips.
boys' trips.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Guys go hang out. That just ain't my thing. If I'm going to take a trip, I want her to go with me, kind of thing. Everything we do is built together, and the relationships that disappear. So I feel like that's never been I'm an achiever, so I want to acquire, but I'm not attached to it. Like if I lose it, everything I got is for sale, except my family. But what would you do if you woke up tomorrow and everything you had outside of your family was gone? How do you think you would respond?
I also have lived a life where I'm not extremely attached to things. I'm thankful for what we have, but it has never felt like it defined us in any way. I would also say that Kevin and I have probably lived a life that we've purposely protected ourselves from a lot of that kind of stuff, because we didn't want it to become something that we were attached to or that defined us in any way or even held us back in any way. And I don't know. I mean, I would certainly be extremely sad about us losing like our house in particular, because we literally built it with our own two hands. And
you
there's a
raised your
lot.
kids there.
Oh my gosh. And it's been so
The memories.
good to us. We love
Like Jay crying over his truck.
that has happened.
I'm serious, right? It's just the memories.
It's been a beautiful place to raise a family.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be hard, but ultimately you can build another house. You can make the money back. It's but if you walk away with your people, then you still have the most important thing.
As of this recording, the previous night there was these alarms that went off about a potential tornado.
Tornadoes.
And
we're apparently everywhere. I don't know.
There's no way you could sleep through the alarm. But immediately I began to think about the process of rebuilding if you have a significant loss. And honestly, it wasn't that I'm so attached to the home I have. It's the process of starting over again and knowing the headache.
I think I'd just buy a camper. I do.
Just buy a camper?
Yep.
Well, if it were big enough, I could be content with that, but I couldn't put it on the lot I'm currently on.
Well, no, you probably
they wouldn't go for that. I'd have to pull it out there in your garden somewhere.
Well, you have to admit, though, I'm going to go somewhere for just a second. You do have to admit, though, in the stage of life that I know there's some age difference between us, but we're all similar in that.
We're all the same age.
Okay. Anyway, isn't there a part of you that can imagine or has imagined what it would be like not to have the yard work to do, all the things, all the stuff to keep up with, where you just imagine, like, if I did live in a little camper and it was a place for me to cook my food and get some rest, boy, the freedom that you would also experience.
So I would not want to live in a camper, but I would live in an RV.
It wouldn't bother me one bit. Well, that's what I'm talking about.
I want to be able to move.
Yeah, I would agree.
I want to be able to
just
do
need a
something.
car for that. But no, I'm not wishing anything bad on any of us or our houses. But I'm saying there's also a part of you that you'd rather it be a choice than a circumstance that something like that happened for sure. But there is also a part of me that has wondered, like, I have found myself trying to make those processes in my life easier over the past couple of years and simpler than they ever have been, because I've realized some of those things that I used to enjoy feel like a hindrance now.
Yeah, I would love to get in an RV and go and stay as long as I wanted to and come back when I got ready. But Sunday comes every 7 days.
Well, I don't even mean that.
And they
I'm
expect
just
me to
talking
appear
about
every week.
I don't even mean that. I'm just talking about the daily responsibilities
Yeah,
of
in
keeping
fact,
up with
I
everything.
in the
Yeah.
past 2 weeks have said very similar to what you're talking about. I said I'm sick of landscaping. I'm sick of mowing. I'm sick of keeping things up, having to do my own repairs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I am to that point. And back to your question, I would be saddened, and if I found out today or tomorrow that everything I've worked for was gone, I truly would. But I can honestly say I am in a different place now than I would have been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because I'm like, you know what, I'm way on the backside of the needle, as it were, living life, and I understand that my best days are ahead of me, and I do not want, and I'm going to make this very plain, I do not want to have to walk that road of losing
all
of those things.
That's right.
I'm not that arrogant to say that. I don't want to walk that road, but I feel that my faith and trust is much more stronger now, knowing that God's provision is there, regardless of what that road would have to look like.
So he closes by giving some counsel to widows regarding remarriage. He says they're free, as long as they marry a believer. So why is shared spiritual baseline the non-negotiable metric for any covenant partnership?
So I have talked about this a lot lately. Some of it just with people in the church, but a lot of it with my children because they are young adults. And, the way I have described it to my daughter is you cannot imagine right now how it will affect everything, single aspect of your life and your marriage. It will define how you handle the way that you spend your money, the way that you raise your children. Oh my gosh, that is a really big one. What your values are. I just think you cannot understand until you are in it that it is going to affect every single facet of your life. And when the most important thing in each of your lives is your devotion to God, then you are automatically united in a lot of those decisions. Even if you don't agree on every detail, you're still headed in the same direction. Like you said with the cart, you're pulling it the same way. You might hit a rut every now and then, but you're going to get back on track and you're going to be fine.
Right.
But when the other person in your marriage absolutely cannot understand why you think this is right and this is the direction to go, that would be hard.
It's difficult.
It really would be. And you throw some kids in the middle of that and you want to parent them differently. How confusing for them and how painful for you. And in her particular case, she has watched several of those issues that you talked about, incidences that we have seen up close and personal of one person who is very interested in ministry and another who is not. And she has even said to me, like, I want to get married and I want to have a family, but I'd rather not if that is a situation that I would end up in, because she has just seen the pain and heartache that it causes.
It does affect every aspect of life. There's not a pick this out, pick this out, pick this out. We can deal with those separately. It impacts every area of life. And I would even say it this way. Even when you're both committed to the things of God and have a relationship, it still can be extremely challenging. I cannot imagine going at it when one is completely opposite of the other. It just creates a disaster.
When your end goal is totally different.
Yes. And the counsel will be, don't do it. Simply do not do it.
Yeah.
The two pools of marriage are sexual desire, physical companionship, and just companionship in general. Those are the pulls. Nobody likes being alone. I mean, that's the first thing God said wasn't good. It's not good for man to be alone. The problem, though, is marriage is not just companionship or sex. It is destiny. There's a destination involved when you join forces. And if you are not aware of how it affects it, you introduce a war into the most internal space that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
And people just don't take that into account. They don't realize, and I would say it has to be the number one requirement on your list when you go to get in a relationship is, are they fully committed to Jesus? I don't even mean saved. Are they fully committed to Jesus? I don't care if they're hot
or not.
Yeah, built like a
Got to be committed.
brick house. I don't care. Those things may come down the line, and I would tell you those things when you're young. Those are the things that are at the top of the list. That fades as you get older to begin with.
It fades and sags and wrinkles and all the above.
But it changes.
Yes.
What should happen, the one thing that can continue to increase is their commitment to Christ. I've seen people marry beautiful people they had lots in common with, but that person wasn't saved, and it created disaster. And that's not just for ministry; it's just in the whole process of it. So,
one of the things we do or require for folks who want to get married is to do pre-marriage counseling. X number of sessions, go through a workbook, and
have some tonight.
I've had this happen one time going through counseling and dealing with this very issue, the baseline of relationships. And had a couple who, after the second session, one of them decided, I'm not going through with this.
How effective?
Absolutely. And I thought, as painful as it was in the moment, how much better off they are going to be for the rest of their life.
Right. Both of them.
By being forced to this decision to say, you know what, if this is as good as it's going to get and we're not going to be on the same page and go in those different directions, this physical attraction, this monetary attraction, all these things are not more important than this one decision. And I thought, that's a home run win right there.
Yeah.
Not just for the one who made the decision to say, I'm not willing to settle for this, but for both of them.
For everybody involved.
Absolutely. And future, what may have been children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so,
thank you for joining us again today on One Single Story. When you realize how fast the present world is passing away, you stop trying to hoard its temporary security and you start maximizing your focus for eternity. Hope you'll join us again on the next edition of One Single Story.